What if Atlantis was of a civilization described in exacting detail by Plato, a continent that vanished in a single night? Ancient maps that don't match our modern world. Could we already be looking at Atlantis without realizing it? Plato, the father of Western philosophy, wasn't known for writing fiction. Yet, in his dialogues Timaeus Acrisius, he describes a magnificent civilization Atlantis destroyed over 11,000 years ago. He claims the story came from Egyptian priests and was passed to his ancestor, Solon. Plato described Atlantis as larger than Libya and Asia combined, located across the Pillars of Hercules, now the Strait of Gibraltar, a massive plain surrounded by mountains, a city of concentric rings, alternating land and water, highly advanced in engineering, architecture, and naval power, destroyed in a single day and night of cataclysmic fire and flood, critics say. It's allegory, but ... what if it's a distorted memory of a real event? In a single day and night of misfortune, all your warlike men in a body sank into the earth, and the island of Atlantis in like manner disappeared in the depths of the sea. Acrisius was Plato preserving a distant ancestral memory? And if so, what geographic clues does his account actually contain? Enter the mystery of ancient cartography. In 1513, the Ottoman admiral Piri Reis compiled a world map using older sources, some lost to history. Shockingly, it showed the coast of South America with uncanny accuracy, and more disturbingly, a landmass resembling Antarctica-ice-free. Then came the Boischet map in 1737, showing a subglacial landmass in the Antarctic region, split by rivers and mountains centuries before satellites confirmed similar geography under the ice. These maps suggest the existence of pre-ice knowledge of Antarctica. But how? Was Antarctica once ice-free, as some climate models suggest? Or are these maps drawn from Atlantean knowledge passed down through unknown civilizations? Historians dismiss these as coincidences or copying errors, but that explanation grows weaker as correlations increase. In 1958, Charles Hapgood, a professor of history, proposed a radical theory. Atlantis was not in the Atlantic but Antarctica. Hapgood suggested that Earth's crust could shift suddenly, a theory later supported by Einstein. If such a crustal displacement occurred, it might have moved Atlantis from a temperate region to its current polar location, burying it under miles of ice. Supporting evidence includes the Piri Reis Map, which shows an ice-free Antarctic coast. Ancient texts referencing a fertile, circular island that suddenly vanished. The Boischet map's accurate portrayal of Antarctic substructure. Even NASA satellites have confirmed subglacial anomalies in Antarctica, geometric shapes possible. Artificial formations and gravitational anomalies under the ice. Could an advanced civilization have once lived there only to be lost under the frozen veil of time? Skeptics argue the time frame doesn't align with human history, but what if? That's exactly the point. Maybe history itself needs rewriting. What if Atlantis wasn't buried under ice but hidden in plain sight? Some researchers believe Plato's island was not literally an island, but a metaphor for a lost landmass, a region once above sea level, later submerged by rising oceans. Compelling candidates include the Azores Plateau, a submerged volcanic region in the mid-Atlantic, the Richat Structure in Mauritania, Africa, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, eerily resembles Plato's concentric rings. Doggerland, a sunken landmass once connecting the UK to mainland Europe, the Caribbean Basin, where underwater Anomalies and pyramidal structures have been photographed. One consistent feature across these locations is circular geometry suggesting advanced planning. Could these be remnants of a lost civilization that inspired Plato's tale? Geologists point to rapid sea level rise after the last ice age as a cause for massive flooding, aligning eerily with Plato's account of Atlantis vanishing in a day and a night. Around the world, divers and sonar surveys have discovered ruins lying deep beneath the ocean's surface, some dated to times when sea levels were supposed to be much lower and cities should not have existed. Take Yonaguni, Japan, a megalithic, site submerged over 20 meters deep. It has terraces, platforms, and stair-like structures, features that resemble man-made architecture, not natural erosion. If it is artificial, it predates known civilizations in the region by thousands of years. In India's Gulf of Comet, sonar scans revealed an ancient city now underwater, with pottery and tools carbon dated to 9,000 years ago, much older than the Indus Valley civilization near Cuba's western coast. Researchers using deep-sea sonar found what appeared to be pyramid-like structures 600 meters underwater, far too deep for any known ancient construction. These discoveries defy conventional timelines. Could they be the lost colonies of a seafaring civilization like Atlantis? Mainstream archaeologists remain cautious, but the evidence is piling up, suggesting that the ocean hides more than just shipwrecks. Why do civilizations separated by oceans share similar myths, architectural styles, and astronomical alignments? From the stepped pyramids of Teotihuacan to the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, from the megalithic circles of Stonehenge to the astronomical layout of Nabta Playa in Egypt, there are recurring elements: circular city planning, alignment with solstices and star systems, massive stone construction using megaliths, myths of gods who came from the sea and brought knowledge. Plato described Atlantis as a perfect circle with canals and bridges, and a central temple to Poseidon, god of the sea. In Mesoamerica, legends speak of Quetzalcoatl, a bearded sea god who taught agriculture and science. In India, Varuna ruled the oceans and cosmic law. In Sumer, Oannes, a half-man, half-fish, emerged from the sea to teach civilization. Were these myths remnants of a common ancestral culture? A people dispersed after a cataclysmic event. Some believe Atlantis was not a single place but a blueprint, a civilizational memory passed on by survivors to the corners of the earth. If Atlantis existed, could its memory have survived in the oldest maps of humanity? Enter the Piri Reis Map, drawn in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral based on even earlier charts. What shocked researchers was its detailed depiction of the South American coastline centuries before European explorers had mapped it. But stranger still, it also seems to show Antarctica. Without ice. Geological surveys confirm that the landmass of Antarctica lies beneath kilometers of ice and hasn't been ice-free for at least 6,000 years. So how did ancient mapmakers chart its contours? Other examples include the erroneous Phineas Map 1531 and Boische Map 1737, which also depict a temperate Antarctica with mountain ranges, rivers, and bays impossible to observe without satellite or sonar. These maps hint that someone, perhaps a seafaring civilization long lost once, had the ability to chart the globe in ways that contradict modern timelines. Were these the survivors of Atlantis, or did they inherit the knowledge from an even earlier culture? The Eye of the Sahara, or Richat Structure, is more than just a geological oddity, it's a mystery that has silently watched the world change for millennia. What's striking isn't just the circular shape, but the scale and proportions. Plato described Atlantis as having a central island surrounded by alternating rings of water and land, with bridges connecting each ring and a canal leading to the sea. At first glance, this seems mythic, but the Richat Structure, though inland today, was once much closer to the ancient coastline, especially during the Pleistocene epoch when sea levels were higher, and parts of the Sahara were green savannas. When researchers overlaid Plato's dimensions converted from Greek stadia onto satellite images of the Richat, the proportions aligned surprisingly well. For instance, the outer ring Plato describes would correspond almost exactly to the outermost visible ring of Richat, roughly 23.5 kilometers in diameter. The center island, an elevated plateau still present in the structure's heart. Even more intriguing, radar scans and satellite multispectral analysis have picked up subsurface anomalies, potential signs of buried walls or ancient canals. The mineral deposits suggest water flow patterns inconsistent with typical erosion, and there are traces of ancient riverbeds leading from the formation toward the Atlantic Ocean. Could these be the remnants of ancient navigational canals? Critics argue the Richat is too old to be Atlantis, dating back hundreds of millions of years geologically. But they may overlook an important distinction: natural formations can be repurposed. Just as ancient civilizations built cities on cliffs, hills, or natural stone outcrops, it's entirely possible an advanced civilization once adapted the Richat as their capital. After all, the Incas built Machu Picchu on top of a mountain not because it was easy, but because it was meaningful. Also worth noting is the absence of large-scale excavation in the area. The harsh Saharan climate and political instability have made it difficult for long-term research missions. What might we find if a full archaeological survey were conducted? In addition, strange magnetometric anomalies have been detected in and around the Richat area. Some theories suggest this might indicate underground metallic structures or unusual mineral concentrations. Again, this might point to ancient activity that's long since been buried under shifting sand and time. Let's not forget Plato's mention of orichalcum, a mysterious metal said to glimmer red like fire, found only in Atlantis. In 2015, archaeologists found ingots off the coast of Sicily resembling descriptions of orichalcum. While they likely belong to another ancient trade hub, the implication is clear. Metals lost to history might not be entirely mythical. With all these clues, topographical match, scale, water evidence, possible canals, and even material hints, the question becomes, are we too quick to dismiss the impossible? Or have we simply stopped looking with open eyes? If Atlantis was real, even metaphorically real, it forces us to ask, what else have we misunderstood about our past? Plato wrote that Atlantis fell in a single day and night, not due to divine punishment, but perhaps due to a cataclysmic geophysical event, a pole shift, supervolcano, asteroid impact, or rapid sea level rise after the Ice Age. And what if survivors fled to higher lands? What if the sudden rise of agriculture and complex societies around 10,000 BC wasn't a beginning, but a rebuilding? Atlantis may not be a city of crystal domes and flying machines, but rather a symbol of what came before the flood. A phase of human civilization advanced in ways we're only beginning to uncover. As new discoveries emerge, from Göbekli Tepe to undersea ruins, from astronomical alignments to forbidden maps, we are forced to re-examine our timelines, myths, And assumptions. In the end, Atlantis might not just be a place we lost, it might be a part of ourselves we've forgotten. The notion that Atlantis was a central hub in a vast, interconnected prehistoric world is not as far-fetched as it once seemed. Evidence of synchronous construction techniques, similar sacred geometry, and aligned astronomical positioning can be found in ancient sites from Peru to Mesopotamia, Egypt to Indonesia. Take the pyramids of Egypt and those of Mesoamerica. Separated by oceans, yet both civilizations developed towering step structures, aligned to solstices and encoded with cosmic symbolism. The bent pyramid in Egypt shows signs of being a transitional experiment in complex engineering. Meanwhile, Teotihuacan in Mexico was designed with a cosmic layout and unknown origins. Its name means place where gods were born, who influenced both. In Plato's account, Atlantis was not merely a city, but an empire, one that reached beyond the Pillars of Hercules, commonly interpreted as the Strait of Gibraltar, and colonized regions deep into Europe and Africa. If Atlantis did fall, its people, technology, and stories might have scattered, becoming the seed myths of other civilizations. Now consider the concept of civilizational memory. It's plausible that cultures as disparate as the Dogon of Mali, the Hopi of North America, and the Maori of New Zealand all contain oral histories of a great flood, sky gods, or knowledge descending from the stars. Could these be fragmented memories of a single advanced progenitor culture, perhaps Atlantis? There's also increasing interest in the idea that ancient structures contain mathematical knowledge far ahead of their time, including pi, the golden ratio, and even complex celestial cycles like the precession of the equinoxes. These are encoded in Giza, Stonehenge, Angkor Wat, and Göbekli Tepe. If Atlantis was real, perhaps its greatest legacy isn't a ruin but a set of knowledge templates passed down across generations. Modern scholars like Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, and others have proposed that a cataclysmic event around 12,000 years ago, likely a comet impact as per the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, could have wiped out advanced societies. They suggest that survivors of such civilizations could have restarted humanity's journey from scattered memory, leaving behind monuments as both warnings and teachings. This also raises the question, what have we lost that we don't even know we once had? The burning of the Library of Alexandria, the flood myths in over 200 cultures, and even the hidden vaults under the Sphinx of Giza, rumored by some to contain lost Atlantean texts, point to gaps in the record to large too. Ignore. In the end, the story of Atlantis may not be about a single sunken city, but about how fragile our knowledge of history truly is. Civilizations rise and fall, and memory can be erased with just one tidal wave or one fire. What Atlantis still teaches us is this: don't underestimate the past, because it may hold the blueprint for our future. What if Atlantis was never just a myth, but a memory? A story buried beneath layers of sand, sea, and skepticism. From Plato's words to the eye of the Sahara, the clues are everywhere. But the truth, still waiting to be uncovered. Subscribe for more ancient mysteries and dive next into Tartaria and the hidden history of the world.